There comes the air, there comes the water. Every 30 feet there'll be a swirl of water where the water is coming in through the port. You have to understand they're about 10 feet below us. As I said, we're in about 10 to 4 feet, we're in about 14 feet of water. Right? So there you go, we're on our way down. The locks operate from 7 in the morning till 5 at night for recreational vessels. For commercial vessels, they will operate 24/7. How many boats go through a lock? Well, many fit. We've come through this lock with 17 other boats. We've come through with a cruise ship who is so big that his bow hung over our roof. The two of us could just squeeze in. And there's a picture on the internet of 100 kayaks going through one of these locks over by Amsterdam. We did it as a stunt. Doesn't matter. Doesn't affect the lock at all. So, how much does it cost to go on the canal? Well, it depends on your boat. If you're rowing or paddling, it is free. And it always has been free. You will walk through one kayak. I've personally done that myself. Every summer we'll get some guys having a midlife crisis who want to row the whole length of the Erie. So they'll come rowing through here in shells. Their wives are usually up on the lawn with nice iced tea saying, "You go, honey." But they're all free. Everybody else, up to 16 feet, $25 for your yearly pass. That's unlimited locking, all locks, the whole system. 17 to 35 feet, $50. 36 to 65 feet, $75. And 66 feet up to the usable length of the lock, which is 300 feet for all the 4 folks, a 200-foot yacht. It is $100. Now, to be clear, commercial vessels pay more, a lot more. But in 2017, it got even cheaper for recreational vessels. That was the 200th anniversary of the beginning of construction of the Erie Canal. The state said happy birthday and it waived the tolls. So the recreational boats, like the one ahead of us and there's one up above, they're all going for free. Now, in a typical year, the state brings in, or the canal brings in about $5 million in tolls and other fees. It costs about $110 million a year to operate the canal. Doesn't sound like a good deal for the taxpayer, but the economists tell us if you have indirect benefits equal to 10 times your operating expenses, you make the money back in things like increased sales taxes, enhanced property taxes, and the like. So if you add up heritage tourism, like you folks are on with the restaurants and the B&Bs that are along the canal, then you add in hydroelectric generation. There are hydroelectric plants along the canals. In fact, the oldest continuously operated hydroelectric plant in the world, over 100 years old, is on the Champlain Canal. Irrigation. Out west, canal water is used for irrigation. Industrial purposes. There are ethanol and paper plants along the canal that use gobs of water. There's a paper plant right in Little Falls. And the bike path. When you add it all up, and it adds up as of 2 years ago to $1.3 billion in economic activity. Bottom line, the canal pays for itself. Actually, more than pays for itself. Incredibly, that figure is going up by about $100 million a year. The state has invested heavily in the recreational aspects of the canal. So the canal's future looks very, very bright. What boats do we see on the canal? Well, now we're mostly seeing eastbound boats that are coming out of the lakes and headed down the Hudson. But I'll give you a typical springtime rundown. First boats through in the springtime are usually very large boats, 60, 70, 80 footers, and those are the snowbirds. But if you got money to snowbird your yacht, you got a lot of money. Our favorite snowbird is Andiamo, comes through every year like clockwork. About 90 feet long, 5,000 horsepower. Captain told me he burns over 100 gallons an hour at full speed. And they come from Miami Beach to Chicago every year, and he had spent $150,000 in fuel to get this far. So you gotta have a good credit card. The next group through are usually eastbound. Those boats are headed down to the Hudson River, down around New York City, out Long Island Sound, to places like the Hamptons, Block Island, Martha's Vineyard, Newport, Cape Cod, big summer cruising grounds for middle-sized boats. And the third group that comes through, and our largest, are people on the Loop, on the Great Loop Cruise. The typical looper will start in the southern United States in the spring and come up the East Coast